Welcome back. Welcome back. You man, Diamond K in here, of course. The all-new radioandfire.com. Diamond K in the morning. Thank you for joining me. Wow. The Biden administration passed the 2-month mark. And wow, it doesn't even seem like it's been 2 months that Biden has been president. But it has, passing that 2-month mark. And what have they gotten done in 2 months? Biden and VP Harris. So they've passed a few things. Some executive orders, brought some calm to things, to the country somewhat. You don't have a president that's in your face every day. With bombast. Joe Biden is real chill, kind of boring. And I think that is what people need, at least right now. Also, he's brought I would say a return back to yesteryear. Donald Trump was the social media president. As time continues to go on, of course, we're going to look at the Biden administration and what they have done. I do think that they are screwing up at the Mexican border. So Trump was no hero of the border. He actually oversaw the largest influx of illegal immigration in years. President Obama actually had things lower. They called him the deporter in chief. He enforced those laws that we had prior to the Trump administration. Well, what Joe Biden has done is he's really signaled that unaccompanied minors can come over. We will take care of them, and it's really, there's a pandemic going on anyway. So in different countries, people are not doing well, right? And they're coming to America. They were doing that during the Trump administration. But with the change of the Biden administration, it has really seen a relaxing of some of our laws at the border with regards to immigration. And the laws are already screwed up anyway. So the Biden administration in these 2 months has affected what's happening at the border. We definitely have to watch that. So I wanted to talk about the attack, the targeting of Black politicians in Baltimore specifically, but maybe in your city or maybe in your state. So here in Baltimore, the Mosbys, Nick Mosby, his wife, Marilyn Mosby, they're being targeted. A federal investigation into their finances is going on right now. And the right-wing media is trying to draw a line between corruption from other politicians, Black female politicians specifically, and they're trying to, connect Nick and Marilyn Mosby to people that have former mayors that have had issues with regards to finances in Baltimore. This is unfair, but this is done on purpose. They're doing this on purpose. And we cannot continue to sit by and let the white media target our politicians and not say anything or do anything. So Baltimore City Council President Nick Mosby was back on the job this week, back on the job now. In his first appearance since this federal criminal investigation into himself and his wife, these two, if you don't know, Marilyn Mosby is the city state's attorney, and their attorney, they have their own attorney who's advised them not to speak on this matter, which is smart advice. But their attorney is defending them against these federal criminal investigations into their finances. And A. Scott Bolden is their attorney. He's a frequent guest on Roland Martin Unfiltered. I believe he's out of the D.C. area. And so this investigation started under the Trump administration. And, you know, it is the Mosbys targeted for various reasons. Bill Barr didn't like some of the things that Marilyn Mosby was doing. And it's disgusting how this is going down. They've consistently gone after Nick and Marilyn Mosby. Marilyn Mosby shooting to national prominence after the Freddie Gray murder at the hands of the police, and her bringing charges against some of those folks. So here's what they say. I mean, the attorney, A. Scott Bolden, he said that, so what? Ms. Mosby recently purchased a condo and a second home that she rents out when she's not there. So what? Mrs. Mosby earns a salary, has a savings, a lender, a credit score, all to support her family, and she has a legitimate ability to purchase properties and invest her money any way she chooses. She is no different than anyone else who do or have done the same. This should not be news, he says, nor does it merit a federal investigation. So what? So that's his thoughts on that. I tend to agree with that. When you look at, and I heard Larry Hogan, who you know, I understand that black folks, for some reason, in Baltimore, are infatuated with Larry Hogan. I understand. Maybe they grew up watching Dukes of Hazzards and they want to bring back Boss Hogg. Like, I don't understand the infatuation with him. I honestly don't. But let's talk about the governor who was asked about this, and he acted like he was so concerned. Governor Hogan, oh, he's so concerned. Oh, this is very concerning. Governor Hogan, who is one of the biggest hypocrites in Maryland government, Governor Hogan maintains stakes in dozens of real estate entities. Dozens. And people are acting like Marilyn Mosby and Nick Mosby having a condo and a rental property is a big deal. Governor Hogan, who opened his mouth earlier this week talking about the Mosbys, Governor Hogan has dozens of properties, right? The white right media, they don't talk about that, right? 5 companies that he had interest in. He maintains dozens of real estate companies. These are on his financial disclosure filings. This is public record. But nobody's talking about that. He operated a real estate firm based in Annapolis for decades and still does. Right? Still does. Nobody says nothing. The black folks that are so infatuated with Boss Hogg, Governor Hogan, they probably won't even know about this, right? They don't care. We just wanted to vote for Boss Hogg. For what? What has he actually done? all he really does is throw black politicians under the bus. And yes, he has a token lieutenant governor. Who does anybody know? Has anybody ever heard the lieutenant governor even speak? Does Hogan let the lieutenant governor speak at all? I don't think so. I don't think that the lieutenant governor is even allowed to speak. He's just there. So Governor Hogan has 100% ownership in the Hogan Group. He has other holdings, the Hogan Costs Residential, Hogan Holding, Becker. The trust also owns half of Hogan Development, which has partial ownership in 32 LLCs. The purpose for those LLCs is not clear, but I can tell you that the cancellation of the red line. Oh, yes, I'm still talking about the red line. The cancellation of the red line, which was something that was supposed to benefit Baltimore City, he canceled that. And why the white right media never looks into the fact that Hogan, Governor Hogan, has done things to benefit his real estate holdings specifically. He's passed things and done things that benefit properties that he controls. We have to look into that. And I plan to talk about this going forward. He has been given a pass to just do whatever for far too long. Far too long. So I suppose that his token homie, lieutenant governor, is going to follow in his footsteps. Is that what's supposed to happen? Is he supposed to be the one that's going to run after him? Probably not. Probably not. But Hogan runs his mouth, talking out the side of his neck. He's so dismayed. He's so concerned about the Mosbys and their condo and their rental property, while he is the epitome of corruption. But because he's mild-mannered, married to an Asian lady, he gets a pass? He should get no pass. Now, the Mosbys should not be targeted like they are, and Hogan should not be getting a pass. If you are investigating this foolishness, why aren't they investigating Hogan and his alleged corruption? Clearly, it is evident what is going on. I mean, it should be no surprise to anyone when you look at the facts. Just tuning in, Don McKay in the morning on the all-new radioonfire.com here on the show. I deliver the biggest political and trending news stories of the day with interviews and original reporting from Atlanta and Baltimore. I'm upbeat. I want to have fun, but I also want to expose what's going on. New episodes of the program drop weekdays, 8 a.m., but I don't want you to miss any of our live broadcasts in addition to our 8 a.m. program. We drop content throughout the day as news happens. So however you are hearing or watching this program, hit the notification bell so you get an alert whenever we go live. I am going to be on Hogan's ass like white on rice. Okay? In addition to the Mosbys being targeted, in addition to Governor Hogan running his mouth about the Mosbys in his condescending tone, he's always thrown black politicians under the bus, specifically black women. Whether it's Stephanie Rollins Blake, whether it was Catherine Pugh, whether it was Joan Pratt, whoever it is, he's throwing them under the bus. For far too long, white politicians get a pass for doing stuff that black politicians go to jail for. We got to talk about this. This has to be something that we pay attention to. We need more black politicians, but we also need things to happen fairly. Diamond K in the Morning is now available on the WRF Radio app. Simply download WRF Radio in your app store and leave me a comment. You can scroll your timeline, attend a Zoom meeting on mute, do some online shopping, write an email, all while listening to Diamond K in the Morning. So, it is a time where pandemic lockdowns have been, eased, where things are opening back up. Within 2 weeks, we have 2 shootings. The latest, this Colorado shooting in a supermarket. Can you imagine? A supermarket is somewhere where you got your guards down, and this loser, murderer, comes in the supermarket in Boulder, Colorado. They say that he's prone to rage. Prone to rage. A 21 years old, accused of killing 10 people. 10 people at a Colorado supermarket. So they say that he's someone who is prone to sudden rage. Was suspended from high school for a sudden attack on a classmate. So he bloodied a classmate. He is from the Denver suburb. So booked in jail yesterday, murder charges, a day after this King Soopers grocery mass shooting. He's going to make his first court appearance tomorrow. That's going to be interesting. Among the dead, a Boulder police officer, Eric Talley, 51 years old. He was actually trying to leave the force. How ironic is that? He was the first to arrive on the scene and responded to a call about shots being fired, someone carrying a gun. This whole last 2 weeks has reignited the talk for some gun control, some what they call common sense gun laws. Not going to happen. It's not going to happen because the Senate has some cowards in it, and they're not going to do it. They're not going to do it because they're cowards, because of the lobbying of gun manufacturers. They're not going to do it. Some people want to do it, but you have corrupt politicians like Joe Manchin, supposed Democrats who are going to stop that. This murderer, this 21-year-old piece of trash, purchased this gun 6 days or so ago. So the law enforcement, they briefed the press on the shooting. The suspect's family members said they believe he's suffering from mental illness and delusions. Why not throw in sexual addiction in there too? Huh? Just throw that in there. They try to make these murderers victims somehow. They don't need to go to jail. What they really need is counseling and some medication. All of this foolishness. So we have all of these. You have loopholes for the murderers to purchase the weapons. And then you have these court loopholes for the murderers to claim, that they're not in their right mental state of mind. And then Americans sit by and let this happen. So they can purchase guns to kill your kids, to kill your family members of the community. Then they go to jail. Then they present these defenses that they are, you remember it used to be back in the day, pleaded insanity. Now the murderers, they have these mental disorders, right? He's delusional. He has mental illness. And then the other loser that killed folks last week in Georgia, he has sexual addiction. What? This is crazy. This is crazy. And if we continue to fall for this and allow this foolishness to take place, we're just as crazy. So law enforcement is doing their best. I suppose it's going to be in the hands of the prosecutors. It's going to be in the hands of the prosecutors. Let's know your thoughts in the comment section. Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, TikTok, at The Diamond K Show, at Radio on Fire. These folks that sit by and allow this type of activity to take place with no repercussions. I mean, we're going to talk about it for a little while, and then it's just going to fade into the background because people have become immune to mass murder. They become immune to it. I mean, I say that because what is done? I mean, we can go back 20 years and start naming them. There is uproar for a little while, and then it just fades into the background. On to the next thing. On to the next thing. Just tuning in, Diamond K in the morning, on the all-new radioonfire.com. Of course, you can donate to the program. Support Diamond K in the morning via Cash App, $ DJ Diamond K. Also, djdiamondk@gmail.com. Also, paypal.me/radioonfire. Just simply go to radioonfire.com. Before we get out of here, Baltimore's own Javonte Davis indicted 14 counts related to that hit and run that happened in the fall. Davis has been charged with 4 counts of failure to return and remain at the scene of an accident involving bodily injury, failure of the driver involved in an accident to render reasonable assistance to an injured person, failure of vehicle driver involved in an accident to furnish required ID and license, failure of vehicle driver involved in an accident to exhibit license to police, and failure of vehicle driver involved in an accident to report to nearest police. No, there's more. Failure of the vehicle driver in an accident to locate and notify owner of unattended property of damage. Failure of vehicle driver in an accident to furnish required ID information in writing on unattended vehicle. I didn't even know that was a crime. Person driving a motor vehicle on a highway on suspended license and privilege. Probably why he fled the scene. Person driving a motor vehicle on a highway on a revoked license and privileged. As I said, probably why he left the scene. And driving a motor vehicle on a highway without license and authorization, and driver fails to stop at a steady circular red signal. Wow, this is very unfortunate for the undefeated fighter. If convicted of all charges, he will face a maximum of 7 years and 55 days in prison. Hopefully this does not happen. There were 4 people inside of a Toyota. They were injured in this crash. They were transported to the University of Maryland Shock Trauma. And while the passengers' injuries are not threatening, the driver was believed to have suffered some serious injury. So what happened? According to police, car ran through a red light and struck the Toyota, which had the 4 adults in the car. Witnesses identified the vehicle as a Lamborghini and say that Davis was behind the wheel before he and a female passenger fled the scene. This was back in November. So I'm not going to make any excuses for him. He has rocketed to stardom, and he's made some decisions that were ones that were reckless, and he's made some mistakes. And we're going to see how this works out. I mean, our black athletes with money, like we gotta figure this out. We gotta figure this out and how to not consistently have them in these type of situations.